Which candidate do you think has the most to gain with social conservatives this weekend?
Well, that's, I suppose, a good question, but I know these candidates, I like them all, I respect them all, and there's a broad campaign that's going on nationwide and is focused within the early states as well, and this message that's here by each of the candidates. So I don't know that I can presume or even estimate that there's one that has more to gain than others, but we don't know what actually triggers some of these jumps in the polls that some of the candidates get. We usually know what it is that diminishes their movement upward, but we don't always know what it was that caused their movement upward. So I think we just let them do the best they can do out here and let the people that are making the decisions sort that out.
Are you? I think this is a question you're probably going to be asked a lot in and around the Hill, but are you comfortable with the current field after Chris Christie and Sarah Palin have decided not to get in the race?
Actually, I'm glad now that the field is fixed, and I appreciate Chris Christie and Sarah Palin, and gratitude that I owe both of them. But making the decision now, in either case, is to solidify the field. That's good. It's an accelerated race because Florida moved their primary up. They should not have done that. It broke the deal with the Republican National Committee. But they did, and that moved up the other states. So here we sit in Iowa now with a caucus agenda that's been moved up 4 or 5 weeks. If that's the case, it throws it into the holidays no matter what. It might throw it into the day after Christmas. I'm still hopeful that New Hampshire will back up a week, and that would let Iowa at least have our caucus in 2012. Kind of nice to have it in the same year of the presidential election. But the intensity of all of this is great. The candidates have been doing a lot better job than they did earlier. I thought it was a slow start. Last January, we decided we want to try to accelerate the process, and we did some things. But now they will all be in full campaign mode, and they're coming around the third turn here, heading to the fourth turn pretty soon, and they will sprint then through into the Iowa caucus, New Hampshire, South Carolina, Nevada, Florida, and beyond.
Can I ask about Rick Perry real quick? Obviously, he was sort of the presumptive front runner. He's fallen off a little in the polls, but he's obviously has strong social conservative background. He appeals very much to a lot of the people that are here in the audience. He's done a couple things policy-wise, the in-state tuition for illegal immigrants, and I know you're that's a big issue for you, illegal immigration. Having said that, I mean, when you take his background, his social conservatism, but also his policies, can you get behind a Rick Perry? Do you think social conservatives will come out en masse for him?
I'll say this: I will be enthusiastically in support of the Republican nominee if everyone will make a better president than the one we have. I have no hesitation about that, and I'll be an eager advocate for the nominee. I think that, generally speaking, Rick Perry is a conservative, and I think a full-spectrum conservative. There are some blips along the way that perhaps can be ironed out or understood better. And my ears are open, and I just encourage him to campaign with all the gusto that he has and let the voters sort it out.
Let me ask you one question, related. Terry Reid, yesterday or last night, pulled a very interesting move. He used the nuclear option to advance this China currency manipulation bill. What's your reaction to that?
Well, it makes him a hypocrite. I mean, he was one of the people that whined against it when Republicans threatened to use it on judicial confirmation. And so to just simply pull the button on the nuclear option and do that in a surprise way that he did, that just it breaks the trust that they have between the majority and the minority in the United States Senate. And I'll say this though, that when it comes time to repeal Obamacare, I want Harry Reid to remember what happened yesterday and turnabout is fair play. And so if Republicans win the majority in the Senate and my language or anybody else's language comes before them to repeal 100% of Obamacare, out by the roots entirely, and they use the nuclear option, or if they package some of it up in reconciliation, because they use every legislative shenanigan to get it passed in the Senate and in the House. Turnabout's fair play. Anything they use to pass Obamacare is fair to repeal it, and he can't hide behind they're the ones that called it the nuclear option. He can't hide behind that now. He's broken that trust. So let's look at a way to use it and use the nuclear option if we have to repeal Obamacare.
Okay, one last question. I promise.
Okay.
the Department of Justice obviously has ordered an appeals court to overturn or injunct part of this Alabama immigration law. Are you familiar with this? Do you have any response or reaction to the DOJ's decision to go after this state law?
I've not read the decision. You say they've made it
they're asking an appeals court to overturn.
They're suing Alabama,
right?
And that law just went in and that went away yesterday. Alabama's immigration law. Okay, well, it's the Justice Department has done this before. They've done it with Arizona. Here's an interesting thing. This goes back to Eric Holder again. And if you remember Eric Holder, his answer when Congressman Poe asked him, "Did you read the bill?" And he said, "No." It was a 10.5-page bill, and Eric Holder was to be briefed before that hearing, before the Judiciary Committee. Here's what took place in the exchange prior to that, and that was the one that I was asking Eric Holder questions. I asked him, now this is of the Arizona law, and in Alabama it's going to be irrelevant, and I said, can you point to a place in the Constitution that you believe Arizona's SB 1070 violates? No. Can you point to a federal statute that would be the supremacy clause would be violated by Arizona's SB 1070? No. Can you point to any controlling case law out there? No. Can you point to any reason then that you should be suing Arizona? Well, we made the decision to sue Arizona. Did the President order you to? He said, I'm an independent agency. The Attorney General's office is independent from the President, so essentially we make our own decisions. I say that wasn't a truthful statement. I believe the President of the United States directly or implied that Holder should sue Arizona over SB 1070. I think he initiated the lawsuit, and he did so obviously before he read the bill. And they didn't have grounds to bring the suit when they announced they were going to sue. In fact, it was announced in April by Hillary Clinton, the Secretary of State. I believe the same motive exists for suing Alabama. And I believe they're trying to create legal precedent that no state should be enforcing any immigration laws. No political subdivision should be enforcing any immigration laws. If they create that, then forever immigration law would exclusively be enforced only by the federal government, which has refused to enforce immigration law, and that's what his administration is engaged in doing. So this is all a very big deal. And I believe that every state, every political subdivision, has a constitutional right and authority to pass their own immigration statute and to enforce them to the same limits as the federal government. Not more. They can't go beyond. They have to be within the mirror or below federal law.